Ever get the feeling you're fighting a losing battle against online ads? Like just when you think you've got them all, bam, new ones pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like a game of whack-a-mole you can never truly win.
Exactly. And unfortunately, things are about to get even trickier, especially for you Chrome users out there.
Oh, this is about that whole Manifest v3 thing, right? I saw some chatter about it online.
You got it. Manifest v3 is basically a major update to Chrome that's causing a huge shakeup in the world of ad blockers. And to be honest with you, some people are saying this could be the end of ad blocking as we know it.
Wow, okay, that's kind of a big deal. So what's the deal with Manifest v3? What's actually changing?
Well, in a nutshell, it changes the way ad blockers are allowed to interact with websites. And today we're going to do a deep dive into exactly what those changes are, why they matter so much, and what your options are if you're not okay with it.
Sounds like a plan. So let's start with the basics. What is Manifest v3, and why is everybody making such a fuss about it?
So think of Manifest v3 like a new set of rules for how browser extensions work, right? And ad blockers, they're just one type of extension.
Okay, makes sense.
And under the current system, which is called Manifest v2, these ad blockers have a lot of access, right? It's like they have a backstage pass to see how websites load and what's going on behind the scenes. And they use this access to identify and block ad content before it even gets a chance to pop up on your screen.
So they're basically catching the ads at the source. Pretty clever.
Exactly. But here's where things get interesting. Manifest v3, it's taking away those backstage passes and confining ad blockers to a much smaller area. So now they have a much more limited view of what's happening behind the scenes.
Huh. So it's not that Manifest v3 is outright banning ad blockers. It's more like it's tying one hand behind their back and saying, all right, now try to block ads.
Exactly, and that's a great way to put it. And that's why this update is causing so much controversy, because with Manifest v3, ad blockers are going to have a much harder time telling the difference between an ad and the actual content you're trying to see. It's like trying to block a specific player on a football field when you can only see a tiny portion of the game.
Yeah, that's got to make it tough. I can definitely see why ad blocker developers are worried.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just about seeing more ads either. This whole thing has some serious implications for data privacy as well.
Oh, how so?
Well, because with ad blockers having less insight into the data that's being exchanged between your browser and the websites you visit, it potentially opens the door for more of your online activity to be tracked.
Oh, I see. So things like what you click on, how long you stay on a page, maybe even what you type into forms, that could all be up for grabs.
Potentially, yeah. And that's a concern that a lot of people have. I know I certainly do.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, nobody likes the feeling of being watched online. It's creepy.
It totally is. And you know what's really interesting about this whole thing? It kind of brings to light this tension that exists between our desire for a cleaner, more private online experience and the reality of how companies like Google actually make their money.
Because Google, they make their money from advertising. Right.
Precisely. And the more information they can gather about our online behavior, the more targeted those ads can be and the more money they can make.
Right. It's all about that targeted advertising revenue.
Exactly. And this is actually something that the article we have here today highlights really well. It talks about how this move to Manifest v3 is kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, Google claims it's all about enhancing security and privacy for users.
Which, on the surface, sounds like a good thing.
It does, right. But on the other hand, by making it harder for ad blockers to do their job effectively, it also potentially opens the door for more tracking and data collection, which of course benefits Google.
So it's kind of like they're saying, we're going to make things more secure, but also we're going to keep a closer eye on you.
Yeah, basically. And that's why it's so important to be informed about what's changing and what your options are. Because the good news is there are alternative browsers out there that take a very different approach to privacy.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
So the article specifically calls out two browsers, Brave and Firefox. Have you heard of those?
Yeah, for sure. I know Brave, they have a built-in ad blocker,
They
right?
do. They actually have some pretty robust built-in privacy features. So yeah, Brave is definitely one to consider if you're prioritizing privacy and a generally smoother, less ad-cluttered browsing experience.
Cool. And what about Firefox?
So Firefox is interesting because it's much more focused on giving you, the user, more control over your data and what extensions you allow. It's kind of like the DIY approach to privacy.
I like that.
And perhaps most importantly for this discussion, both Brave and Firefox still fully support those more powerful customizable ad blockers like uBlock Origin, which is one that Chrome is effectively kind of hamstringing with this Manifest v3 update.
So with this update, Chrome's kind of pushing users towards a more restricted and, some might argue, less private online experience, while these other browsers are kind of like, hey, if you value your privacy and control, we gotcha.
Exactly. It really boils down to what's most important to you. Do you value the potential security improvements that Chrome claims Manifest v3 will bring, even if it means potentially weaker ad blocking and less control over your data? Or are you more interested in exploring these alternative browsers that prioritize privacy and user control?
It's a tough call, for sure. There's definitely a trade-off either way.
There is, and that's why we wanted to do this deep dive today, to give you the information you need to make an informed decision about what's best for you. Because at the end of the day, it's your online experience.
Totally. Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. And the more you know about how these changes might affect you, the better equipped you'll be to navigate this ever-evolving digital landscape.
Couldn't agree more. So what do you think, listeners? Are you sticking with Chrome and hoping for the best? Or are you ready to jump ship and explore a different browser?
Let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And hey, maybe in a future deep dive, we can take a closer look at some of these alternative browsers and see what they have to offer. Until then, happy browsing, everyone.